Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year to those of you that I have not seen. You know, I'm a little bit reticent of saying I hope your year is off to a great start, given our weather last week, but I do hope your year is off to a great start. It is so good to see everyone wanting to learn about our Leadership St. Louis program, a program that has been around for a really long time. We have a number of pillars of institutions across sectors that are graduates of our programs. And it's a really good feeling when you walk into a room and you know in that room that there is either a Leadership St. Louis alum there or there is a Focus alum there. Focus, for those of you that don't know, has been around for quite some time, but I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But for now, Kate has shared, for those of you that are journeying later, that this meeting will be recorded and shared later. If for whatever reason you have to leave early, our Director of Marketing, Becky Rasmussen, will be sharing this later. Our agenda for the time that we have with you today is to share some information about the program, and that information includes, such things as what to expect, a little bit of history about Leadership St. Louis, also who the ideal candidates is for the program, what our program schedule looks like, and what the program benefits are for individuals that have our program. Additionally, we'll talk about tuition and financial aid, as well as some key important dates for you to be aware of. And then we're going to invite our alums to talk about their experience having gone through the program. And I have to say, it goes without saying, they are all graduates of the best classes ever. I think some of them might even have taglines that they will share with you. Kate will be monitoring our chat and will share additional information as is necessary with you. But with that said, Kate, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pull up our PowerPoint. Hi, Christy Dixon.
Hey, Evgeny, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm in an open environment, so can't put my camera on, but
that's fine. Well, it's a toasty 40 degrees out there, so I'm sure it feels like summer. But with that said, Kate advanced to the next slide there. I already went over that. And we are, do you want me to go ahead and play that, Kate?
Yes, please. Jamie will be showing a video. And again, you can view this later. It's just a little bit of background. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I don't know about you, Jamie, but my tech has been moving as quickly as the traffic lately.
Okay. Video coming up on Focus that gives you an overview of our programs.
At Focus St. Louis, we believe that so many people desire change, but they need the inspiration, they need the knowledge, and they need the network to be able to take action. Focus St. Louis has provided civic education for leaders in our region to inspire individuals to action.
And I've been working with the Leadership St. Louis and Focus St. Louis and the predecessor organization Confluence St. Louis, actually from their beginnings in 1976 all the way to the present in 2018. What Leadership St. Louis does is make St. Louis a better place, is to teach people how to collaborate, to give them the opportunity to learn from each other, not to make them all alike, but so everybody understands where everybody else is coming from.
We approach community formation among the participants with intentionality.
we educate students, young professionals, and civic and business leaders about the strengths and the challenges and opportunities of our region.
I was looking for a way to contribute, to be more involved with the community that I live in, and this was an incredible way to become involved.
I think Focus St. Louis has a pretty robust network, pretty extensive alumni, so that alone kind of convinced me in terms of they act as kind of a hub for connecting individuals to both for-profit and nonprofit.
Hundreds of people have gone through the program over the years in which it's been in existence, and so they become a part of that network.
I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. You know, I believe very much in the city, and I want folks to know that there's actually really great things going on here, and organizations like Focus St. Louis that highlight and promote and support and encourage those sorts of things. I'm welcome the opportunity to be a part of that.
You know, collaboration is messy. It takes a lot more time, but I think in the end you end up with a much better result, and part of that process is people learning to trust one another, and I think that makes a lasting impact for our region.
If you are contemplating joining a focus group, applying for a program, that means there's something in you that should just do it.
None of our work would be possible if people in the region stopped showing up. Their commitment to collaboration, innovation, equity, community, and action mirrors the values that we strive to extend through all of our focus programs.
They taught me what it's like to be a police chief, what it's like to be a nonprofit executive officer, what it's like to be a city manager, what it's like to be a corporate VP of a stockholder-owned utility. All of those roles I understand much better because I've watched and learned from the people who occupy them.
It's teachable moments that help us understand what it's like to live in a different socioeconomic background or with a different skin color, and I think that is where the change is going to happen, is where we are willing to change policies and practices and really make things more equitable for all.
So there you have it, is a quick overview of just the collective of focus programs. Good to see who is in the room and is interested in our program. For those of you that aren't familiar, Focus St. Louis, Leadership St. Louis was founded in 1976. And over the course of the time that this program has been in existence, as I mentioned before, we dot the landscape with the different places and positions that our alums are. And they range from grassroots leaders to grass tops. And basically, as a result of going through our program, our participants develop a deep enough understanding of the St. Louis region, what the challenges are, what the opportunities are, and where you as an individual can plug in. But even more so importantly, you might have a problem that needs to be solved, or you might have an opportunity that needs to be gifted to a wider audience. Leadership St. Louis, Focus St. Louis is where that all happens. And you'll hear from some of our alums later on. But it's an immersive series of seminars where we do deep dives as best as we can on a number of issues. And I'll just give you a quick preview of what some of those issues are: economic development, education, healthcare, mental health, Actually, this year we did something very different because the class said they had a wish and they had an ask. And the ask was to allow them to plan a program day around education. Dr. Candace, I'm sure you're listening. You're thinking, oh my God, wow, why couldn't my class do that? Well, you could always come back. But they were able to do that. They were involved. They showed education from their respective lenses, and they opened up the conversation of education from a personal leadership, where I am perspective that I thought was very informative and instructive to the larger class. It's a 9-month program, and we have months where we meet twice a month, or we have twice 2 days of the month, and then there are some months that we only meet for 1 day. Our program days are generally on Fridays, and when we have the 2 program days, they are Friday and Saturday. The program kicks off in September with an opening retreat, and we close in May with a 2-day closing retreat as well. Next slide, please, Kate. So who should apply? All of you, in terms of looking at who is on the schedule today and who I'm seeing on the screen. These are seasoned professionals who hold significant roles in their respective companies or even organizations or even in community. And they just want to have a deeper understanding of, again, as I said, the challenges and the opportunities. And individuals who have a sense of personal leadership, individuals who have a sense of purpose, and individuals who are also open to learning about the shared sense of purpose that they may find with individuals in the class and how they can utilize that to address civic and social issues. You know, I think at the end of the day, when I look at past classes, they're always concerned and interested in how can I improve not just myself, how can I improve my company, but more importantly, how can I improve my community? And over time, we've seen our alums collaborate on different issues and initiatives while they're going through the program or even after the program concludes. One of our alums that I saw during one of our, I call gala season, October, November, December of every year. And he was sharing with me the idea that him and his classmates came up. And it was an idea along being proud of your community and how you can do that and in what ways can you do that. And they partner with what we today know it as Explore STL. So there are a number of opportunities like that in the class. Another thing is you get a diverse perspective. And one of the things that Dr. Terry Jones, who you saw on the video, always says is when you walk into a conversation about any issue, even if you don't have any insight or knowledge about it, prompting the conversation with, help me understand your point of view. You may not agree with them, but in getting to know the person's humanity, you may start to have an inkling to understand their point of view. The other thing that we highly, highly encourage for people to do is to make a commitment to attend all scheduled program days. When you're not there, you're missing a lot. You're also missing your perspective that for whatever reason may not be representative in the class if you're not there. So attendance is something that we strongly encourage. We have a policy. If you have more than 3 absences, this is not your year for the program. Next slide, please, Kate. So the program schedule is what you see up there. I think someone had asked about it earlier. Opening session is always in September, followed by subsequent individual seminars. You see November 14th and 25th there as a 2-day seminar that we have. And then the rest are similar with the exception of May, where we close the session out with our closing retreat. And we leave the May date open for now until the remainder of our classes have been selected. And tentatively, right now, we know that graduation will take place in at some point, I would say, after What's Right with the Region in 2026 for our program participants. And every year we have close to 300 individuals that graduate from our program. And it's an opportunity to bring them all together during graduation to expand their network beyond where it is right now. Next slide, please, Steve. So program benefits, I've alluded to this, some parallel exposure to influential civic, business, government individuals, the tools and the experience to have some conversations or things that you didn't even know you needed a toolkit for. In Leadership St. Louis and in many of our programs, you do have that opportunity. You also have an opportunity to be more focused in some of the community initiatives or personal initiatives that you want to work on. And there's this, some of you may have done this through Cortex, Matt Homan, on reasonable ask. Make unreasonable ask of your respective classmates of community in a way that advances your cause and your personal mission. And beyond that, you have just added 11,000 new friends to your network, the ecosystem of Focus St. Louis. It's amazing. It's inspiring. I was at a TED Talk prep meeting yesterday, and I walked in only thinking that I would know one person. I was pleasantly surprised that I knew just about everybody in the room, and they had gone through focus programs or had attended focus events or are affiliated with focus friends in a way that I felt that I was walking into a room of community minded individuals. We're all in this together. And one of the things that happens as a result of going through this program is people come out feeling a greater personal commitment to the region and what they can do. And sometimes what they cannot do, but they know others who can help advance our region beyond where. Next slide, please. Okay. So tuition for the program is $6,000. It's mostly covered in part by a lot of our participant employers, but sometimes in those instances, we do offer partial financial aid. It is not a full financial aid, but it is based on demonstrated financial need of those individuals. And I know as part of our process, once you've been admitted into the program, if you didn't apply, if you are applying to our program, we'll send out applications letting you know that you can apply for the program. And I have to say, we have a scholarship committee that reviews this, and don't make full financial aid or scholarship requests because we cannot do that. We are a nonprofit ourselves, but through the generosity of our alums, such as the Kwame Charitable Foundation, for example, they offer a scholarship for individuals that identify as Black or African Americans. But we do offer scholarship. So if that is something that you think is going to not allow you to do the program, I'd say at least apply for our program. And apply for the scholarship. Next slide, please. So important dates for you to note that are coming is the application deadline is March 21. You can start the application and you can pause it, but always make sure that you get the email that has notified you that your application has been received. If you don't get that and you don't have filters that prevent you from getting that, please feel free to reach out to Kate and I so we can make sure that you have everything that is needed. The interview date for the program is April 26th. That is usually in the morning, 8:30 to about there over by noon, depending on what slot you are allotted. But I would say go ahead, save that date, block that time off. For you, it is all done virtually. And the folks who help us with this are our alums. Now they'll be interviewing you. Kate and I have nothing to do with it. And they provide us with the recommendation. Participants are usually notified by May 5th, and there's an expectation that we'll have returned the program agreement to us by the end of May. If you know of individuals that you want to nominate for the program or friends or what have you, nomination is accepted through February 28th, or they can directly apply to our program as well. Next slide, please, Kate. So now I'm actually going to transition to our 4 phenomenal alums that are going to share with you about their experience in our program. And they are Dr. Candace Carter Oliver, Ed DeVault, Dee Finch, and Dan Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about your experience in the program. And I'll start first with Ed. And, you know, I appreciate the moniker that Ed gave me one day when we had a meeting at Edward Jones, that I was like, you know, I've always wanted to be that. And I'm glad that that's how you see me. But you can ask me in person what that is, since this is on video. But the first question that I have for all of you is, what was the most memorable experience for you when you were going through the program? And we'll kick things off with Ed.
Oh, Yemi, this is on video, but I'll say it. I describe Yemi as a badass, which I think is a really relative or endearing term, and she is. She's pretty awesome. So I would say, you know, it's hard to pick out like one specific experience, but here's what I would say is, as somebody not born and raised in St. Louis, I moved here, right, for a job, and I didn't really know that much about the area. To say like every single month I showed up and learned something about the community that literally blew me away over and over and over again. Like, I thought it was really cool the first month when that happened. I'm like, oh, that's fun. I didn't even know that was going on here. And then it happened again the second month, and then it happened again the third month, and then it happened again the fourth month. And so I would say just like over and over again, the experiences that they have designed teach you about the community, teach you about the role that each of us play in it, and honestly shows some of the great things about St. Louis and shows some of the not great things about St. Louis, and helps us, I think, talk about those things in a really healthy way. So I don't think I could pinpoint one specific experience so much as just the collection of them was pretty amazing.
Ed. Dee, same question. What was your most memorable experience?
Out of Leadership St. Louis or Women in
Yes.
Leadership?
Out of Leadership St. Louis. Yes,
Okay.
you're a two-time grad.
I'm a 2-time grad. Am I the only one, or are there others? I don't know. I'm gonna add it to my.
I see possibly they will become two-time grads when they
Okay.
apply in the audience. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Welcome. Like, come on, join the 2-time grad club. Leadership St. Louis. So my journey coming from Women in Leadership, where I was really kind of connecting to myself and my purpose and other things. Leadership St. Louis, my purpose was to really start honing and crafting more of my leadership talent and exploring who I wanted to be more as a leader to benefit the community, my company, that kind of thing. So, and with that lens and looking at what was my most enjoyable experience, was probably one of our last sessions where we all gathered in that circle in the tables, and we took turns going to each different person and sharing our thoughts, affirmations, and observations of who we believe that other person is and what we believe they needed to hear. And that was so refreshing to me, because as a leader, sometimes it feels really, really lonely. It's, I don't like the saying, because it sounds very us versus them. It's lonely at the top. But it can feel very lonely, and you don't hear some of the things that you want to hear or like to hear that you offer to others. And it was a lot of connection through the whole experience, but that moment was just like, okay, I really finally feel connected to this group and to these individuals who I know that I can call and lean on in the future, and pick up the phone. And so I really felt like that was one of my favorite experiences, walking away feeling affirmed as a leader and connecting to other leaders in the region that have similar goals of improving the St. Louis region.
Thank you, Dee. And yes, Dr. Candace Carter Oliver is also a two-time alum. I forgot. Yes. Same question. What was the most memorable part of your experience in LSL?
So I would probably start with, again, I want to, say that we visited sites all over St. Louis, right? And that is, I think, one of the cornerstones of Focus St. Louis, because you're really able to see, again, the interconnectedness. And so the Federal Reserve Bank, I remember that. I remember Scott Air Force Base. I remember the International Institute down in South City. I remember schools that we visited, ranging from different, from St. Louis County schools to St. Louis City schools. So we were just to the soccer stadium, right? We even visited the soccer stadium and saw things backstage, I'll say, in that environment. So really, showing up, I think you said that, Yami, at the very beginning, committing to the time and not missing, because you're truly missing out if you're not present. And so, I wrote down a couple notes, the commitment that needs to be there. I would say write a whole lot, because I wrote a whole lot, and get to know the people. The higher we go up in these positions, it really becomes more about your network, the people the people you can call on. As a result of LSL, I joined the Contemporary Arts Museum board. That was all through a connection of one of those asks. What did they call it? The
Unreasonable ask.
Yeah, the unreasonable ask. And someone got up and said, I need someone to take my board seat, and I was like, oh, where, let's talk about that. And it was through that connection on the CAM board, the Contemporary Arts Museum board. So the people you get to know and become part of, your loose ties, your friends are just invaluable. So, and kudos to the persons on here on this call who I think are keeping learning going, because at the end of the day, it's all about, continuous learning. And this is a space where you learn from others. So.
Thank you. Dan, same question. What was the most memorable part of the experience for you?
Yeah, so I'll give one specific memorable experience, and then more generally why it was memorable. So Candice mentioned Scott Air Force Base. We got to look around behind the scenes, understand how that works as almost a community rather than just an operational base. And we even got to go on some of the aircraft. I mean, it was some of the smaller aircraft, but hey, we still got to go on them. And I kind of really enjoyed, as somebody who didn't serve or haven't got family members, or when I was growing up didn't serve, getting that experience and that knowledge was really important. And what was most memorable about the program overall, I think, was just learning about all the positive stuff that goes on in our region. Because as you can probably tell, like Ed, I didn't grow up in St. Louis or anywhere in the region, and I knew that I was going to learn more about the challenges. I knew I was going to get a deeper understanding of the challenges within our region when I joined the program, but I didn't realize how much I'd learned about the positives, about the new businesses investing here, about how it's actually a far more diverse community in St. Louis than I thought, about our population growth. So I came really energized, really, committed that this is my home, and that was one thing that really stuck with me as a result of the program.
Thank you. That's really great. You know, I was just thinking as I was hearing all of you talk and the recommendations and suggestions that you were making, if there was one thing that you would have done differently when you were going through the program, what would that have been?
I can take a first stab, Yumi, since I'm the last to get to leave off there. So I would say, you know, I intentionally carved out time in my work schedule to do this, and I think that's super important. I would have done more even, and I think I would have also probably carved out some time specifically to connect with people outside of class more. Like there's a couple folks that I've stayed in contact with. There's honestly a couple that I wish I had. And so like you just have this moment and you kind of assume that that moment's going to go on and you don't realize that it actually is a fairly short window that like the time goes by so quick. And so I think that like just being intentional with your schedule, you're committing to be there, make sure that you can fully plug in before and after the program ends.
I would probably echo that and say I would have put more or all of our cohort, my cohorts, in contact information, you know, in my phone. So what I see now is that, you know, business cards are kind of done on QR codes or some kind of very, you know, easy way. I would have taken more intentionality or time around that. And then I probably also would have, you know, we have the alumni dinners that Focus does. I would participate in even more time around. I've done 2 alumni dinners, which have been, or you know, attended to, which have been phenomenal. I would even do more connecting, particularly with, you know, industries or sectors that are not like my own to learn and grow. Yeah.
I think I'd agree with both of those. And then I guess the one I'd add is I'd have gone in with more confidence because, you know, when you're selected, you see the titles of the people that's on your cohort. And it's like, wow, you know, these are impressive people. You know, you read about some of them in the newspapers, you know, but just, you know, if you're on this program, you've been selected for a reason. So go in with confidence.
Dan, I'm so happy that you said that because I was going, you know, I'm so touchy-feely that I didn't want to go there, you know, again, but it's right on. I wish I would have gone in going, I'm here, they're here, we're all in the same room for the same, you know, many of the same reasons in this, maybe not in the same boats, but we're here wanting to learn from each other. And so give a little bit more, speak up a little bit more, raise the hand a little bit more, get involved in getting to know other people a little bit more. And yes, dedicating more time into the schedule for even the after, you know, after party hours to get to know each other a little bit more.
I like how you put that, party hours, aka reflection hours. These are all great things that you are recommending to our prospective participants and applicants to make the most out of their ILSL experience. Kate, are there any burning questions from our attendees?
No questions from the group yet, but if anyone, I said you could drop them in the chat. If anyone also come off mute and ask a question, you're more than welcome. So you want to raise your hand. I also want to give kudos to Ed. He was always fully present. He would walk in on the phone and I knew when his check-in meeting was, and I love to greet you and I love to see how you're doing. And I always want to check if it's a good day, what you need, how you're feeling. And he just thumbs up or thumbs down because he was always on a call at 8 o'clock. And so just thumbs up, thumbs down. And then we checked in later. He was always like on a call, but always fully present. And I always appreciated that about Ed. He always got there on time. He never got lost while navigating and being on his call. That's really hard to do. And he did it really well.
Well, that's quite a compliment. And I will add there, Ed always checked in, not just like a passing by, but really, how are you today? You know, Ed, I have to say, the first time you walked into a session and you checked in, and I was just like, yeah, I'm doing good, you know, on program thing. And you just stopped me. And we were at Cortex. And you said, no, seriously, Amy, how are you? That's just the caliber of people that are in our program, not just about the network, but also about the people that are running the program. And Kate and I feel that we know each and every one of you. Dee, we've been to a couple of things in your space at Del Mar Divine. Dr. Candace Carter is always willing to open her doors to our leadership and said, no problem. Come on to our school, come learn, come see ways in which you can be educated. And at the end of the day, that is what Leadership St. Louis is all about. It's about deepening your understanding of the challenges and the opportunities of our region in a way that you can gain insights, or in a way, because of our immersive visits to different sectors, you just go, that's interesting. I now see why this is successful. I now see why there's a challenge with this particular issue. Okay, let me take that home and let me take that back to my organization just to see what they can do. My final question to all of you is, what do you hope future participants gain from this program?
I'll go first. I think that I would hope for the participants to gain a better idea of where they can make change regardless of title and role, that leadership is not about a title, but it is about an action. And so where can you uniquely fit into the St. Louis region with your unique talents and strengths, and, you know, learning more about the region?
Say gain a, whether you worked in the region all your life or you haven't, just getting that wider, more diverse network, people from different organizations or you haven't worked with before. As an example, through Leadership St. Louis, I've been connected through different people who work in neurodiversity, which is one of the areas I focus on nationally for KPMG. And it's through those connections, those steps, through Leadership St. Louis alumni and events, that help you get that network that will benefit you, whether you remain in the region or you move on.
I would echo that. I would simply say, I know one of the things that came out of my group was, live, work, and play in the city, or, do, and so I really did this self-analysis on, how often do I interact with the city in that way? So commit to doing more, or the change that Deanna was referring to, commit to the action. And set goals for yourself. I still have my book. I don't know if you guys remember this book we went through, and I did all this writing and goal setting. I took my small vision board and aligned the two. So just commit to your learning, commit to yourself and your self-improvement. And it's shown up for me professionally and personally, in my own personal life. So that would be my recommendation. Yeah.
Just when I came on that book, Candice, that we all got at one of the sessions, I used it. I opened it. I thought at first I was like, oh, this is a bit fluffy and happy clappy. And then actually I used it, and I set 2 goals: get promoted and run a 5K in a sub 7 mile pace. And I achieved both of them. So yeah, I definitely use that book.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
that is
Excellent.
awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that is great. I'm going to go just off my book and see what additional goals I'm going to add to it this year. But I want to thank Dr. Candace Carter, Oliver, Ed DeVault, Stan Lawrence, Dee Finch for joining us today and sharing their experience as well as insights, having gone through Leadership St. Louis. So
we do have 2 questions.
Okay.
One I addressed in the chat. They are full days, usually 8:30 to 4, but there might be tours that start at 8 o'clock. We will let you know ahead of time. Anna Hall and Aaron Schulman. Anna, do you want to go first?
Sure. I got a sense based on some photos and the video, but how large usually is the cohort? Is there a particular range that you're hoping for each cohort?
It's usually about 60, but we always overextend based on the applications that we get. We'll probably overextend to about 63, because over the summer, things change for our participants and they may end up dropping from the program. But ideal sweet spot is 60. During the pandemic, because everyone was available, we had a class of 72. We shall not repeat that again, and we shall not have a pandemic again, but that's the numbers for the class. Our next question.
Erin?
Hi, yeah. I was also considering women in leadership, and so maybe for the women on the call who have done both, if you had a recommendation or talk a little bit about the differences between the two, and if you would recommend doing women in leadership before Leadership St. Louis, or it doesn't really matter.
I'll make a couple. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Candace.
No, okay. I would definitely recommend both programs because both of them are phenomenal. I think they have their own interest in a way. The Will program really helped me focus more so on being a woman, particularly an African American woman in this space. So we talked about bias and confidence, some of those things, that you typically see, maybe even sometimes maybe self-sabotaging type things or not being very vocal in rooms, just operating in a predominant male, space. So we take more time with that. I remember walking back with having far more conviction around advocacy for women. I came back to my organization and was looking at compensation, was looking at encouraging women on the team to be more vocal, to put their ideas in the room more so. So I just, that's what Will does, and it's a safe space for you to talk about that. And even just some of the role of being a woman and then maybe coming home to families and all of the expectations you have with your family, and folks would talk about that, being mothers or wives and partners and just, trying to just manage the load, I'll say. And then LSL is just different around, just more leadership type things and less about maybe, being a woman in the role, and then other attributes that, top leaders or great leaders would have or need to have. So I would recommend both of them. I don't think you need to do one first or the other. I think they just carry their own weights, and you do get to interact with Shayla Ford in both spaces, and she's phenomenal. You get to interact with Kate in both spaces, and she's phenomenal. So you get the team, and you'll benefit from that. Deanna, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, basically the same, right? There is. You don't have to start in women in leadership first. I'm glad that I did, but the difference is very much around, getting comfortable in being in leadership with women as well, which is really important in that space. And the difference with between that and Leadership St. Louis is getting comfortable with other leaders in the space, listening, reflecting, and respecting diverse voices as well. One's really finding your own voice as a woman. The other one is listening to other voices.
Also, logistically speaking, the schedules look very different. Women in leadership is about every 2 weeks. It's about the same number of sessions, but there's 2 semesters. So August to December, and then January to May. So it's a little bit more concentrated in the times that you meet. So if you're in a busy season of life and you're traveling a lot, you might miss more sessions of women in leadership than LSL. So that's again, similar but different. There was also a question of impact in the city, kind of like your most memorable takeaway from LSL, but what was a benefit to you or an impact that you feel that you made? They said in the city, but I'm going to say in your personal life too, because it all connects. Maybe one person want to jump.
Yeah, I feel like I know Dee's story, and I don't know how publicly she wants to share it, but I feel as though, you were going through some rough moments there when you were going through with respect to your nonprofit. And the class, coming to the program day was uplifting for you. But I'll let you share that. Yes, and at the end of the day, we all celebrated with you.
Yes, it was really difficult. You know, again, best intentions is schedule the time, go be fully present, do all the homework, schedule time to reflect. And for me, United for Children went through some really, really rocky times and decisions from, you know, government entities, and we just had a really rocky time. And I showed up still, and I was vulnerable and let people know like what I was going through. I wanted to be there. I wanted to understand and follow along and learn. And also I wanted to be a part of that, and other people see what or what nonprofit leaders go through specifically as well. I thought that was a benefit to other leaders as well, but it was really difficult. Then I felt very insecure actually through that. It's like, I'm not giving enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not. Um, but the one day when things started taking a turn for the better, and I was able to announce the turn of events and celebrate. I felt just an overwhelming amount of support. I think before then, everybody was like, "Ooh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to approach her," but then after that, just an overwhelming amount of support. And from that point on, like people were coming up to me and going, "I've been watching you. I'm worried about you. And now that I understand a little bit more, how can I help you?" And that was just a huge turning point for me as well in the group. So just the amount of support and that many of people in one room that can support you as a leader, but your organization and all the community that you are impacting as well, is huge. I don't think that I could have mentally or emotionally gone through that period without the immense amount of support from the leadership, the St. Louis group, Yami, Kate, and everyone. So thanks for letting me share that.
And you were the picture of grace. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kate, any other questions we need to respond to?
Yeah, real quick. Nomination. So you can apply yourself, or a nomination can be put forward for you. It's really just to put your line in a queue, because now recruitment happens for us on a longer timeline, on a year-long, 9-month, type of program. But you do not have to be nominated to apply for the program. You can apply yourself, but you do need 2 recommendations. If it's a nomination that's really well fleshed out and does you good justice, that can be used as a recommendation. But our selection judges are really looking to get to know you beyond a resume, which is why we do an interview. But the application and the 2 recommendations are the pre-work, so that they can kind of see what your goals and your background are. So those are the logistics and the 2 different ways that you can go about applying. You can do a nomination, and then that's a lot of times how people find out about us. But if you're just interested, you can also apply independently. And again, if you have recruitment questions, Yami, myself, or our recruitment contact, Kayla Dix, I will drop her email in the chat as well. And again, if you have further questions, let us know. But it's so great to see all of our alums and our prospective candidates on the call. Amy, I'll pass it over to you for final words, but I just want to say thank you to all of you.
All right, thank you very much, Kate. Again, it was a pleasure to see all of you on screen, either your little black box or your actual pictures and photos. We look forward to getting to know you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And to our alums again, thank you for joining us. So don't be strangers. Feel free to reach out to us, and have a great rest of the day. Take care, everyone.